Hello, my stamping friends. It's Christine Ludwig from Christine's Stamping Spot. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in St. Albert, Alberta. And welcome. Happy December, December 1 today. Very excited. We have some beautiful Charlie Brown snow that started falling here probably about, I'm going to say around noonish. And it's just coming down kind of gentle, and I think it's supposed to continue for most of the days. So for any of my friends that will be driving in rush hour traffic today, please be careful because you never know, right? It could be slippery, and sometimes people forget how to drive in the snow. So just be very careful wherever you're going today. And December 1 marks the days that we can start opening advent calendars. So I did a little post earlier this morning. I'm excited to start opening my 12 days of Christmas crafting calendar. And I have been patiently waiting for that. So, you know what? How about if I do that with you guys right now? Hang on, I'm going to grab it. And spoiler alert, if any of you have not opened this yet, you can just sort of fast forward through the video. But this is the stamp set and the 12 Days of Advent crafting calendar that is for sale. I believe it's still available in our online store, so you can check it out. And you get this wonderful stamp set that is not just for Christmas. It's got birthday and love you and some different images for different times of the year. So that's fun. Now, let me just quickly open this. Oh, I'm excited. Have any of you opened this? I have heard of many people that have opened all 12 days ahead of time. Or are you someone like me that, I just have tried to be very patient and wait until today, the first. And I know as children, we used to have, my background is German. So we always used to have these really beautiful paper advent calendars when I was growing up. And before the 1st of December, my brother and I, or myself, I'd frantically been, try to find all the numbers. But those were the days when there were no chocolate calendars or all those other types that they have now. They were the authentic sort of European style that had, glitter, a little bit of glitter on them, and they were all like little angels, and they weren't Santa themed. They were more about the nativity and about, the birth of Jesus and all of that, and stars and just all the really pretty glitter that was on them. And they were quite small, like they weren't even as big as this package, but they were so treasured by us as kids growing up. And so I know we did advent calendars with our kids too, but by that point, some of those old traditional ones were a little bit harder to find, and maybe you can order them online, I'm not sure. However, I digress. So this is our advent calendar. So look at the inside. Oh, 12 days. And this contains apparently product that is exclusive to this calendar. And it's not just Christmas, and it's not just, well, there's no chocolate, number one. But I'm told it could be all kinds of different things, from designer papers to all kinds of things. So let's open number one. If I can figure out how to open it, that would be another. Do I have to cut into this, or do I just, oh, it's perforated. Okay, well, that makes sense. So one-time use. So let's open. Oh, and it has some dies. Look at, friends. Look at these pretty dies that are in number one. I'm just going to close this so we can take a look at these dies. Oh, I'm excited. What are these? Oh, so we have, these are our poinsettias maybe. And we have a menorah or a rainbow. Is that a menorah? 3, 6, 8 candles maybe. I'm not sure. And then some little butterflies and a flower. Oh my. And these ones probably layer. Do they layer into each other? No, I think they're standalone. Well, those are exciting. Those can be used for lots of different things. So that, oh, and we had another leaf I forgot to take out. So that was fun. Door number 1 has been open. I'm curious to see what number 2 will be. Oh, fun, fun. Even as adults, advent calendars are fun, right? Super fun. Okay, so today's project, now I have my overhead light on because, like I said, it was snowing and it's gray and cloudy, so the light in here is not perfect. So I have this just piece of paper on top of my glass mat so you don't see the reflection, hopefully, of the lights on here. Okay. All right. So today's project, we are going to use this stamp set. Merry Christmas. That's it. That's all there is in the stamp set. And you know, when I first saw this, I thought, I don't know if I'd use that. But then, of course, like most of us, we see different samples and are just blown away what people do with them. And this, if you aren't familiar, is our new packaging. So from now on, with the launch of our November online exclusives, all of our stamps are going to come in this packaging, and they are all going to be going to photopolymer from here on in. So they come packaged like this, and if the stamp set has a coordinating die, I believe the dies are meant to be able to fit inside this packaging. And so it's simple. You pull it out, your stamp set's inside, and look at how thin these are compared to our stamp cases, right? Very, very thin. So many of us will be, gradually, for me anyway, transitioning to different sort of storage systems, perhaps, because these will definitely take up much, much less room. And so meant to be stacked like in a bin that you could just flip through them and find the one you want. You might want to categorize them according to seasons or occasions or holidays or birthday or whatever, Valentine's, Halloween, different occasions, so that way they're all together. So yeah, this is the very first stamp set I got in this new packaging. So that was kind of interesting to see what it actually looked like. And it's very tall, right? I'm assuming they're all going to be this tall, so they're all consistent. But if you are looking for that stamp set, it is here in our September to December mini. It's tucked away right up here on the top of page 16. So you could make these as simple or as involved as you like, different techniques, different colors. Here they've done it on some designer paper, just stamped. So lots of different possibilities, and it says everything that you need to say, right? And it's a $25 price point for one large stamp. So we are going to use this today, and our card is going to be sort of a variation of this. This is sort of the very basic sample. Shows you how quickly it can be done, and it's going to be done with a little bit of embossing and blending. Okay, so we're going to do a different color palette. This is with navy, Night of Navy, as our base. But we are going to do one in Pretty Peacock. Okay, so our base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Now, just to say, you could use absolutely any color palette you want. If you like purples, if you like reds, if you like greens, if you like blues, if you like whatever, just simple white on white, with a black, maybe black embossing or just a black stamp. I mean, anything goes, right? And then we have 2 pieces of basic white. One is 5 1/4 by 4, which will be our base here, our layer. And then this is the piece, 5 by 3 3/4, that we are going to emboss and do some blending on. Okay, so our first step will be to emboss. So I'm just going to use my embossing buddy. And these, the embossing buddy is all part of our new embossing kit. So you can certainly check for that if you're interested. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp. Okay, so my image is quite large. Look at how large this is, if you can see it this way. Merry Christmas. All right. And it's a very thin lined stamp. So not really bold and wide like some of our other fonts, but quite thin, if you can see that here. Okay, so the letters are quite thin, but very pretty. All right, so I'm just going to ink this up with my Versamark, and I'm going to do it upside down because it's such a large stamp. Okay, and then, whoa, I just got stuck to my block. I'm just going to move this out of the way because I want to get this straight. So I'm going to use my glass mat, or if you have just grid paper or something with lines on it. I just, want to not hopefully get this too crooked. So then, excuse my head, I'm just going to go in here and hopefully get this fairly straight. I'll just give it a press. And hopefully I didn't get any of that Versamark in between, which is possible. Okay, and then I'm going to bring out my white embossing powder. Now, if you wanted to emboss in gold or silver, that would be lovely. But we're going to do an emboss resist technique, which is probably one of the very first embossing techniques I ever learned. I don't know about you guys, but it's one of the easiest. Okay, so I just wanted to flick off some more of that powder. Hopefully I got it all. Return this to my container so I don't spill everywhere. And then I'm going to heat set this. Now, you're probably not going to see this very well because it's white on white. But after our blending, hopefully you will. Okay, I think that is probably okay. I don't know if you can see that little shine there. Okay, I'm just going to touch up that E a little bit. Okay, hopefully I added enough ink, Versamark, and embossing powder. Like I said, I don't know if you can just see that little shimmer, that shine there. Okay, now I'm gonna set this aside to dry, or not to dry, to cool, but I have another one that I did before that we'll use. This one is exactly the same, it's just cooler. Because I think, if it's a little bit too warm still, maybe our ink may not adhere as nicely as we want. So now we are going to do some blending. Okay, I don't know if I need this here, but I'll put this here just in case. Okay, so to blend, because I'm doing a Pretty Peacock, I'm going to pull out the Pretty Peacock ink and a blending brush. Now, if you don't have a blending brush, you could just use a regular sponge. And you're just going to ink up your brush, and I like to start off my paper and just kind of go on top. Okay. As light or as dark as you like. Oh, try not to squish my paper here. Okay, so we can always add more. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there for now. And then I'm going to switch to some Night of Navy. So we're going to stick with the blues today. Now, I'm not sure how this would work. I don't know if I've ever done Emboss Resist with a metallic embossing powder. That's a good question. If you guys, oops, that came out a little dark. If you guys have, let me know. I'd be curious to know if it works the same. I know I've done it with the white, and definitely, I believe, when we had the clear. So I'm curious if it would work with any of those metallics. That's a good question. I'll have to try it and see. Okay, I think that's enough blue. It got a little bit dark down at the bottom. I wasn't really too focused there. Maybe I'll try to add a little more the pretty peacock in here. Okay, so it's kind of dark, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And of course, my fingers are all icky. But, all right. So now what I want to do is I want to take either a paper towel or a tissue, and you're going to rub over those letters, okay? And this is where the Emboss Resist comes in, because the embossing ink, like the white embossing powder, after it's heat set, will resist the ink. So some of it has been coming off. Now it's not as white. Oh, there we go. Maybe I just have to rub a little bit more. And I do have one of the older embossing powders. We have a different brand of white now, but I still had some, so that's what I'm using. Maybe I just need to rub it a little bit more to get some of that, a little more of that ink off. But you can see how those letters just pop, right? Like, is that not just so pretty? It's kind of magical. Embossing is always the one technique that people say, oh my gosh, that is so neat. And it is. It's definitely neat. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that, because I think by doing that, I'm kind of rubbing off. Oh, there's a little bit of the shine left, but okay. So now what I think I'll do, I could leave it like this, but I think what I want to do, I don't know if you can see it on this sample, but there's a little bit of water splatter on here, just to give it a little bit of a different look. So I'm going to take this is my old water painter, and we have some new ones right now. And I'm just going to let a little bit of water go here on my thing, on my glass mat. And then I'm just going to gently spritz it. Okay, now I don't want, okay, I've got a couple of bigger blobs than I wanted. So just a little bit. And that's going to sort of spread out some of the ink. Yeah, this got a little bit darker, or not darker, a little more there than I wanted, but that's okay. You could also try, this actually, this particular sample was from Sharon Armstrong, who's a demo in the States, and she actually, she tried this, but she also used, she mixed a little bit of our white craft ink from the refill bottle with water. So she just took a blending brush, or not a blending, oh my God, words are hard today. She took a water painter and just mixed it a little bit of water with that white, and then she kind of flicked that on, and it kind of came out like more white. But the thing was, it takes longer to dry if you're just air drying it, or you'd have to use your heat tool just to speed up the drying process because you don't want it to smear. Or I suppose you could even just dab little bits on of the white craft ink too. But I'm okay with that. So now let's zhuzh it up a bit, and I'm just going to add some ribbon. I think I'm going to add this, I don't even know if this is still current, the sheer ribbon from last year, the silver and white, which was so popular, and it's so beautiful with the blue, isn't it? That little bit of silver on there. Oh, silver and blue. I love it at Christmas. I think it's great. Okay, so I'm actually going to take a little bit of Terran tape to hold down my ribbon at the back. Now let me just see whereabouts I want this. I just want it under the letters. So maybe around here. I'll just put a piece of that. I just find this will hold a little bit better and my ribbon won't come off. Okay, so let's add a bit of ribbon, and I'm sorry if you're getting a bit of a glare. Maybe I should bring my paper back. Let's bring my paper back. I don't know if that'll help. Okay, and then we're going to just wrap this around a little snug. And then I'm going to add another piece. Oops, I'll have to redo that. Another piece of Terran tape. And you could also put a piece like on top. So let me do that here too, just because we do not want this to come off. So I'm actually just going to put a little piece on top as well, just to anchor that. Now, if you don't want to do this, you absolutely do not have to do this. You could just use your liquid glue or your regular adhesive. I have done that as well. But I find someone told me about this Terran tape way to, okay, here I am talking really big about it and it just came off. That was brutal. I think I pulled a little too hard. Okay, so let's not pull so hard this time. I'll just put that around the bottom. And I'm going to put a piece here. I hope you can see this. I hope I'm not off camera. I'll just move up in 1 second here. Okay, so let's put that down. I'll just give this a snip. Get this ribbon out of the way. I love this ribbon. It is so beautiful. Okay, and then let's get a bigger piece maybe to put on top of that. Oh my gosh. Hello, where are you, my end? There we are. Okay, so let's just put a piece across like so. Okay, so there is that ribbon. Now, do we want to make a bow with it too? Okay, I'll worry about that in a second. Okay, so now we're going to bring back our base, okay, and put on our layer here, our basic white layer. So put this on the pretty peacock, and then we'll put this piece on, which is really sticking to everything. Try to get these ends, just in case they've curled up a teeny bit with that heat embossing. Okay, so let's put this down on here. Okay. Now you could tack this down a little bit in here with a glue dot or just some adhesive, and maybe we'll add a little bit of a ribbon her a bow. Let's see if we can tie a bow just to sort of put on the center. And then that'll add a little bit more bling and sparkle. Oh my gosh, bows are not my strong suit. Oh, shoot, I was almost there. Oh, maybe I should just tie a knot. That would be work too. Thank you for being patient with me with my bow tying. When no one's watching, it tends to go a little bit better. This is sad. Oh my gosh. Maybe I just need to start bigger. It's a little bit slippery too, so that's not helping my cause here. Okay, well, I have a knot, so let's see if we can make it a little prettier. Let's make it a little more even. Okay, I don't need a huge bow. I just wanted something to kind of add down here. Okay, that's not so bad. Let me just trim these tails shorter. Okay, so if we put this sort of here, I can tack that down with some glue dots. I might need to trim those tails a little bit more. But let us add a bunch of glue dots to the back. Probably add a couple under those actual loops here too, just to, so they don't go in the way of the letters. So let's try to center that about so. Well, it's not too bad. Maybe I'm okay with it. Oh, it doesn't really interfere too bad. I'm just going to trim these off a bit so it will fit into our envelope a little better. Okay, the loops are a little bit bigger than the bows, but well, you guys know how to tie a bow, right? And it will look just beautiful. I'm okay with it, but if I wanted to, I could always redo it later after the fact. But it's fine. It is fine for today. All right, so our last step, I think, will be to add a little more bling, and I'm just going to add our rhinestone basic jewels. There are probably other Christmas ones out there that you can add. I think we have some colored ones, but I'm just going to stick with these kind of silver and blue sort of theme. And there you go. What do you think? I think it's quite pretty. It looks kind of frosty, right? Okay, if I take this off, I'll just leave this for now. So this was the one on the pretty peacock. This is just on the navy. I know it's a little bit hard to tell in this light, the darkness. And I didn't put a bow on here, but you could, right? It would look very similar. And here there's a little more water splatter. And then another one I thought, oh, let's try a different color. I did green. What do you think of that with a big red bow? Almost looks like a Christmas gift. So the greens I used in here were Granny Apple Green and Garden Green, I believe. And then I put it on a piece of Shaded Spruce. I did try Garden Green as the base, but it just looked a little, I don't know, just kind of blended too much. And I think with the darker Shaded Spruce, it made it pop a little bit more. So here are your samples with that Merry Christmas stamp set and a little bit of embossing. There you go. Not very hard. You just have to decide on your color palette. You can make it, again, as simple as you like, or you can definitely zhuzh it up a little bit with some extra ribbon, or play with different colors too. You might, be surprised at what you come up with. So I hope you enjoyed that project today, and we will see you again next week. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.